Alright, hey everyone, this is Ash. Welcome back to the King's Speech. So it has been quite a while since I have got back to my Battle Angel Alita read-through. Want to start off first by thanking everyone that kind of checked in on me during my little mini hiatus there, just to find out what was going on to see if I was doing all right. So I think I mentioned this in my other videos that I've been doing during the break from the read-throughs, but I'll kind of quickly just go over that here before I dive back into this. So like I mentioned in a couple of other videos, I've just been hit really hard the past few weeks or so, and actually more like the past month, because really kind of started end of October and kind of progressed through November, now a bit into December. I was just hit really hard with the seasonal depression once winter set in and we started losing daylight and everything here. And I thought I would have bounced out of it sooner than I had this year. Compared when I thought I'd bounce out of it quickly this year because most years it doesn't affect me as long or as badly as it had this year. But it seems I kind of underestimated how bad it was coming around this year. But now I think I'm kind of a little bit over the hump for now. So hopefully this kind of keeps going for the next little while. So just wanted to put that out there and apologize because I should have been better about, kind of updating you all on what was going on. Maybe just having done a little channel update to keep everyone in the loop. That was definitely on me. Going forward, I'll try to be better about that, trying to do, regular mini, like 1-2 minute video channel updates, just talking about ideas for when stuff will come out going forward in the future. But with that said, before we dive into this, just a few more housekeeping items. There will be another video dropping probably tomorrow evening, I want to say, which will be a mini channel update, just kind of talking about ideas and stuff for the channel going forward. So there's not going to be really any major announcements about new series or anything like that. Because right now I think I have a pretty full plate with doing Battle Angel Alita, Vinland Saga, Yona of the Dawn, and also the one new series I will be adding to the read through is one. Two of my friends on Twitter have been have been hyping up to me for quite a while, and so decided since I'm trying to branch out, I might as well try to do this, and that's Jeff Lemire's Descender. So I put the first volume on hold at the library, so hopefully I'll have it in time for next week when my Christmas break starts. So I have 2 weeks off for that. So during that time, I'm kind of hoping to make up on the backlog and catch up with some read-throughs and stuff I put on the hiatus. Apart from that, I think we're getting pretty close with me getting caught up to the end of Battle Angel Alita, at least the original series. Because I know after Volume 4, there's only Volume 5 left in the main series, I believe. And this one is also a little bit more of an informal poll I want to put to you guys. You can just drop your opinions in the comments below. But I know that there's Mars Chronicle, I think Last Order are the two kind of spin-off sequels that finish after the original Battle Angel Alita stuff. So I've had people ask me to eat. I think a lot of people have said they prefer me to do Last Order first before Mars Chronicle, but I've also had some people say that they'd like me to see me do Mars Chronicle first. So I think I'll do kind of an informal poll on which one you would like to see first. So you want to drop in the comment below and say either Mars Chronicle or Last Order. And if you have any specific reason why you pick one over the other, that'd be great as well. If you just want to drop that in the recommendations below, that'd be great. And then I'll kind of work that in when deciding how to continue from there. But without further ado, let us dive into Battle Angel Alita with Chapter 41, Dual Man. So we see the rain is pouring down in the Rocky Canyon where we just left off. Chaos, who just got hijacked by some ninjas. And you see the tire track treads and in the mud as you see his Radio Chaos truck has fallen over a cliff and just got smashed into the ground. And Alita shows up on her bike, still wearing her wedding dress, going, "Chaos!" And then Lou's like, "Does it look like an accident to you, Alita?" And she's like, "No, something's wrong." So she pulls out her Damascus blade and starts warily creeping forward, on the outside perimeter of the truck to see what's happening. And then she glances into the entrance and she sees that one of the hooded figures has had his face completely sliced off at the jawline. And you see his bloodied head just hanging inside. And you see the rest of his body has just been slammed into one of the walls there. You see the bodies of the other ninjas just strewn about. One's been almost bisected about halfway to his navel. And Lou's like, they're ninjas. It must have been an attack. And Alita's going up and examining the corpses. And she goes, the cut is flawless. These are battle cyborgs with augmented brains. Who did this? And then she notices outside in the rain, you see Chaos kneeling next to what I presume is Yasmin's corpse with, a blade stuck in the ground next to him. And you see the Chaos is just in complete shock. Alita's blushing as she thinks back to the kiss. And she goes, Chaos! It's like, you're alive. I'm glad. And she notices the katana next to him. And she goes, the katana, were you the one who killed the ninjas? And Chaos is still kind of in shock and grieving, goes, Yasmin is dead. Oof. And you see her laid out in her wedding dress. He's put the veil over her head to kind of hide the gore from where her head was cut off. And Alita's like, oh no, Alita took off the dress and put it on her, I think. Yeah, so Alita took off the wedding dress and covered Yasmin with it kind of as a shroud. Yeah, and Alita goes, the poor dress is in tatters, but I bet she still looked better in it than me. And she goes, you don't want to get sick, Chaos. Come on, up, on your feet, let's go. Chaos is like, leave me alone. My home is destroyed, my antennas are broken. I'm finished. And Lou's like, boy, this Chaos guy, he sure seems like a pushover. Handsome, though. And Alita's like, yes, he's just as weak as he looks, but he has the fantastical power of psychometry at his disposal. So I bet he recreated the attack of some samurai who used that katana centuries ago. And Lou's like, wow, what a helpful power to have. Alita's like, bah, an incredible power, and he hasn't got used to it, and he hasn't used it to grow as a person. It always annoys me to see people living passively off of their talent. And you see, as the rain's still pouring down, Chaos slowly starts wobbling side to side. And he goes up with a woof and a glare. And he's just got these angry eyes, and you see his eyes just go blood red. And you see him looking over at Alita, who's turned her back to him. And she's going, well, we ought to give Yasmin a proper burial. And you see a giant whack as Alita turns around and just barely brings up what I assume is an arm guard or something to block Chaos's blow. And she just catches the katana right as it strikes. And she's like, Chaos? And you see that Chaos has just set his face in this grimace as he gets ready to attack again. Alita's like, I can practically feel the heat emanating from his sword. He's just like a... And then Chaos does another two-handed swing at Alita with a swip, and she just barely dodges out of the way as he slices a stone in half. And all these boulders just come cascading down with a crack. And he's like, yeah! And Lou's watching, he's like, eep! And she's like, how can a flesh and blood person do that? And Lou's like, wait, Chaos, what is this? And you see whoever has taken over Chaos goes, Chaos is sleeping right in here. Alita's like, wait, did you just speak with your voice? He's like, ha ha ha. At this point, there's no reason to hide it. Oh, what the hell? Oh, boy. So Chaos pulls apart his shirt, and you see kind of this half yin-yang symbol embedded in his chest. And he goes, I am none other than Den. What you've been fighting against until now was simply a slave unit I can control with this EPR transmitter embedded in my chest. And you see, EPR transmitter is a transmitting device that makes use of quantum entanglement, where distant pairs of electrons exhibit identical behavior as described by the EPR paradox. Through Bell's theorem, information can be traded beyond the speed of light, with eavesdropping and jamming being theoretically impossible. EPR comes from the initials of the scientists who proposed the paradox: Einstein, Podolsky, and Rosen. And so Den continues, Chaos is no more than a roommate to me, though he does not even know that I am here. He's a frail, brittle man, but I allowed him to live for my own benefit. And now it is my turn to seize the spotlight. And you have Lou going, eek, he's got a real-life split personalities. That's horrifying. Alita's like, well, I guess that would explain how Den already knew about me. And then he goes, Den continues, and now that you know that, you will die here, Yoko. And you see Lou calling to her from the bike going, hey, Alita! Alita's like, don't interfere. And she goes, Chaos is my one clue to reach Nova, and more importantly, Ito. So Den goes, what's wrong? You have me right in your sights. Why do you not draw your blade? You are weak. You are naive. You may have impressive mastery of the Panzerkunst arts, but despite breaking the attack of my spear last night, your weakness in finishing the fight nearly ended your life. It is because you are a woman. In the final moment you felt greed, and so you clung to your life, and that led to your sloppiness. And you can see Alita's just kind of taken back by this and a little bit insulted. And she goes, yes, maybe you're right about that. I no longer go mad in the same way I once did. I suppose it's because I've gotten the tiniest little taste of what life has to offer, that sweetness found in the fruit of life. And she thinks back to her and Figure having made her way through the desert when it started raining fish on them. And so she pulls out her blade and goes, and now that I have that fruit in my hand, I will not let anyone have it. I refuse to die now. And so Den goes, fear of death makes you a failure of a warrior. I do not have the power of psychometry, but the knowledge Chaos read is compiled within me. The former owner of this katana was the famed and feared Tachibana Ryukisai, and now his skill shall bury you. Just absolute badass spread with Chaos just holding the sword in attack stance, just ready. And so we have the little author note at the bottom saying Tachibana Ryukisai, a swordsman of the Sengoku period 1467 to 1603, date of birth and death unknown. At age 19, he received initiation in the Hikata Kage-ryu style of swordsmanship from Hikita Bungoro. After 10 years of training, it is said he learned the ultimate secret of the sword from the god of lightning atop Mount Norikura. In his later years, he went mad and ran into the mountains, where he was struck by lightning and died on his feet. Oh, shit. Oh, boy, in the next panel, you see as you see all this water just starting to cascade down into the little canyon that they're stuck in. And Lou's like, oh no, the rain's caused a flash flood. Get out of there, Alita. And you see her and Dan about to face off, very much like Samurai Showdown, all the films you see. And the next panel, you see a ka-ting as Dan has gone forward, he's kind of slashed upward like this. Alita's flipped over him as the water's just cascading towards both of them. And you see a ba-boom as the water just comes in just smashes in to the truck and just obliterates anything that's down below there. And you have Lou going, no, Alita! And you see then a splash as an arm comes out, grabs onto the wall of the canyon at the top. And you see with the subloosh, Alita just pulling herself out along with Den Chaos's body. And she's like, Alita's like, Lou's like, Alita! Alita's like, I won. Yeah, Battle Angel Alita Part 7, Panzer Bride, End. So I won't go over the little author notes at the end about the mysteries of psychometry and everything else, but I'll probably peruse that later. And so the only translation note I'll point out is the car cleaver that Den used is a take on the real-life weapon Zanbato, or horse cleaver, a type of extremely long and large katana that was so named because it is said to be powerful enough to kill the horse as well as the samurai. In this case, the kanji have been altered from zanbato, slice horse blade, to zanshato, slice vehicle blade. So now we have Battle Angel Alita War Chronicle Part 8. Second here. Chapter 42, The Final Broadcast. So you see, once his body was repaired, Den led the Barjack forces on a rampage, overwhelming factory defenses left and right. Out of the 29 factory farms, they conquered 14, mostly in the southwest as they massed their strength to lead a direct attack on Salem. However, behind this triumphant surge, Den was plagued by concerns. He was worried about Alita, now that she knew Chaos was his main form, for if his defenseless body died, Den would thus vanish. And you see Zen in his, giant samurai centaur mode, going, why? It's been over 10 days since then. Why doesn't she kill me? Perhaps the fickle woman has fallen for Chaos. And you see, meanwhile, the powerful scrapyard figure Vector brokered a peace negotiation at Farm 15. He was desperate to protect his own profits from Barjack's expanding threat. Vector pulled out his entire bag of tricks, listing every possible compromise he could devise. But Den had only one goal in mind: the utter destruction of Salem. He cared not for the interests of the scrapyard, and the negotiation fell apart. So you see, Den's just been, the top half has just been plugged in as he's getting ready for repairs. And he says, kill them, and his men just open fire on Vector and his goons and take him out. And then you have Koyomi sitting off to the side going, hang on a sec. I'll make sure they don't kill you, mister. But in return... Okay, so you see that Vector basically hid behind his little goons, using his meat shield so only they got taken out, and he got sniped in the shoulder. So Koyomi goes up to him, I'll make sure they don't kill you, mister. But in return, when you get back to the scrapyard, evacuate everyone living there to a safe location, far enough away that Salem can fall without hurting them. And Vector's just like, fine, deal. And you see, but the factories put pressure on Vector and refused to allow him to evacuate the citizens. They did not want the factory labor force source to dry up if the people all drifted away. As a result, life continued as it had for centuries in the scrapyard, with corruption and rot, and a steady diet of violence and bustle, ignorant to the imminent danger that menaced them all. So you see, back on Salem, Lou's just heading back into work. She goes, whew, I've been short of sleep. I held my end of the bargain to spare Chaos. And you see Alita there thinking back to Alita telling her, I wonder what kind of person will result if Den and Chaos personalities fuse into one. Don't you want to find out? It's like, perhaps it'll be extraordinary enough to change the relationship between Salem and the surface. So Lou continues to think to herself, naturally, the tune circuit recorded the revelation that Chaos was Den's true body in our mainframe's memory. So to cover it up, I switched out the data and concealed the truth. But if I ever get caught, I'm more than fired. I've taken an incredible risk. And for what? To be better friends with Alita? And you see as Lou's walking around on the inside little roundabout, she's looking outside to the Salem buildings, and she thinks, I wonder what Salem is anyway. And so as she walks into the headquarters, you see a tap, 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 tap as they just put in a bunch of new computers, and they have a bunch of other programmers all around there just typing away at a bunch of computers. And Lou's like, whoa! And she's like, wow, I almost thought I walked into the wrong room. Look how much staff they added overnight. And so Lou's like, hello, everyone. And so some of the other pro computer workers there just kind of glance at her, and they're just like, and they turn away with disdain. And Lou's like, what kind of attitude was that? How dare she? And so she goes over to a console where someone else is sitting there. And Lou's like, hey, who said you could use my console? And she's like, what? And Lou's like, oh, what if they learn I tampered with the data? And you have Eisenberg, bigot. I'll never get over that name. Who comes up and he goes, "We had a rearrangement, Miss Collins." I said, "Director." And he goes, "Your seat is over there." And she's like, "Aw." And you see they moved her station just into the far corner where no one else can see her. And she's like, "Well, at least I'm not in trouble, but I don't like the look of this." And you see all the other workers just whispering behind their backs at her. And she goes, "Oh, Director, where's Dr. Russell? Is he..." And then Director goes, "He has been relieved of his duties." And the next page, you see Alita just standing up going, "Whew. The thing about humans is you really can't help but want to live for the sake of someone else. Everyone wants a true family. As for me, Chaos..." And you see it looks like Alita's rigging up what I assume is an artificial kind of radio tower. So she's just hammering away, like putting all these wires and things to the ground. And she set up a tent nearby. She's going like, "You sleep?" And you see on the inside, Chaos just has his eyes wide open, still in shock. And he goes, "Chaos has no memory of his battle against Alita as Den, but touching the katana activated his psychometric power and told him everything. Den is within me, the very man who started the storm of violence that took Yasmin's life. That metal plate in his chest, which he believed was a life-saving device his father Nova had installed to manage his illness, was actually the very tool that unleashed the demon Den." And so Chaos just kind of grits his face and turns his head away with his eyes closed. And you see Alita going, "We're all set, Chaos." Turns out I was right, so she sent up a little temporary Chaos headquarters radio tower. And she goes, "Come on, shape up. This was your idea, remember? It's the last radio Chaos. Let's go out with a bang." And you see Chaos just slowly wobbling over to this radio set. And he's got this kind of haunted look on his face. He's just shivering. And Lou's like, "Do you think this is going to work, Alita?" And she's like, "We'll see. This was a major gamble for the group. If Chaos's guilt causes him to reveal that he was the true form of Den over the broadcast, all of their hard work would be lost. It would be an act of suicide for Chaos and would symbolize mental defeat to the being known as Den." Alita goes, "To him, the radio is the only spotlight he ever knew, and he ever knew for years and years. I want to believe in his devotion. But if he does something that sacrifices himself, then I'll be forced to cut him in two." And you see him starting up the radio, and you hear, "This is Radio Chaos coming out of the desert. First off, I owe everyone an apology for being an escapist, an observer who portrayed the ambiguity of his position as a virtue. Until today, I've been terrified of staining my own hands. I was born in the scrapyard and raised looking up at Zalem. When I was a child, my father gave me an egg in a bird cage. For some reason, the cage was sealed, such that there was no way to reach inside it. Eventually, the egg hatched and a cute little chick emerged. It was my first time seeing a bird, and I watched it with great fascination. It grew into a small bird. One day, I was unable to resist the urge to touch the precious little thing, to pet and caress it." You see Chaos, little baby Chaos, just taking a pair of pliers and bending the bars of the cage so the bird can fly out. So as soon as he does, the bird just flares off and flies off. And you see a giant little pop as the bird just explodes. And you see one of the netmen shot down my little bird. And you have, oh my god, that sadistic little fuck, Destiny Nova, going, "Yeah! I can't believe you were stupid enough to release it. Didn't you know that flying beneath Zalem is a crime?" And you see poor little Chaos just crying as he goes, "I blame myself. And now I summon my courage to say that Zalem's existence is wrong. Human beings are not meant to live this way. But even then, we must not fire our cannons at Zalem, Den." And you see that Den's listening to the broadcast. And he goes, "So, Chaos, you've awakened to the truth. If Zalem were to fall, we might build a new town upon millions of corpses. But the historical cycle of washing blood with blood is unlikely to end." You have Den going, "Don't you understand, fool? History is bloodshed." And Chaos goes, "My fingers know all. There is no soil on this planet that has never been wet with blood and tears. My sin and sadness are to be cleansed from the world. It must be done through creation and peaceful accord. Nothing else." And you have Dusty going, "Yeah! Well said. That's my son talking. He speaks of conquering karma. There's no fighting your blood, is there, Professor?" That's Dusty's assistant, whose name I cannot remember, who says, "He speaks of conquering karma. There's no fight in your blood, is there, Professor?" And you see Dusty has cut open someone's head and he's just pulled out the brain as he's doing some more experiments wherever he is. And in a room somewhere, you see Ito just staring and looking out the window, listening to the radio, as you hear, "I pledge to live my life for this cause from now on. If a doctor is needed, my fingers will turn me into a doctor. If an architect is needed, I'll be an architect. If a leader is needed, I'll be a leader. If a gentle hand is needed to comfort a child, I will provide that hand. Until the day that our stack of pebbles finally reaches up to Zalem. Until that day." You see, the broadcast was over. It was a statement of intent to be superhuman, to consume both good and evil, both joy and sin, and continue the journey. At last, Alita understood the possibilities and the heavy price of the power of psychometry. We have Chapter 43, Testament. So you see Farm 21, and you see Chaos riding up in a little dune buggy with Alita following behind him on her bike. And Lou goes, "This farm has been under Barjack control for 2 years. Are you really sure you want to do this? I know security is thin, but it's the middle of the day." And Alita's like, "Chaos, are you certain we'll find Nova in there?" And Chaos goes, Alita. The reason I was able to summon my courage like that on the last broadcast was because I met you. Thank you." Alita's like, "Why are you bringing this up now?" And he goes, "I have more growing to do. With that statement, I declared my intent to fight against Den and my own fate." And he comes up and he clasps Alita's shoulder. He's like, "Tell me, Alita, what do I look like to you right now? I want to know how you really feel." And you see, I think he's coming in for another kiss. And Lou's like, "I hate to be a buzzkill, but we're in the middle of a mission." And she's like, "Hey, knock it off." And you see Alita just going with a smack and sending Chaos flying backwards with a bloody nose. He's like, "That hurt." Alita's like, "Not the time or the place, punk. I really thought much better of you after that broadcast, Chaos, but there's already another man in my heart." And Chaos is like, "I know." And Alita starts blushing. She's like, "Oh, right, the whole psychometry thing." As she starts chasing after him, going, "You know? How much? Which details?" And Chaos is just running, being like, I'm a pacifist." And Lou's just screaming over them at the monitor, going, "Alita, you're in enemy territory." So Chaos goes, "No, my father Nova isn't here. But this farm settlement should house the man you've been looking for, Ito." Alita is just shocked by this news. And she goes, "Really? Ito's at this farm?" Chaos goes, "When Den and I switched places, I learned that fact from his armored puppet through my psychometry. I think you should go see him." And Lou's like, "Hey, aren't you lucky, Alita?" Alita's like, "Lou, I need to ask you something. Can you turn off communications for just half a day? I don't want anyone to know that I'm in tune." And Lou's just looking fondly at her, and she goes, "Sure thing. Enjoy the reunion." So you see Alita's dressed herself up in some scraps so she blends in better. And she's wandering around the village going, "So, Ito's somewhere in this village?" She thinks back to Nova telling her, "Understand that I am able to bring Ito back to life." And she conjures this image of Ito just looking like the worm guy with Ito's face on it, is walking around screaming, "Ha ha 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 ha!" And Alita's like, "No!" He's like, "Please let him be the way he was before." And she sees, huh? As Ito just goes jogging straight by her carrying his briefcase. And she's like, huh? And you see up ahead there's someone having a medical emergency and going, hurry, doctor! And he goes, I'm coming. And Alita's like, I could smell Ito's familiar old scent. But I'm not ready for this. And she swoons and she just hides behind a barrel. She's like, calm down, Alita. What should I say to him? Long time no see sounds so distant. So you're alive, you bastard, sounds too aggressive. So she just peeks around the corner as she watches Ito operating on a cyborg. And she goes, it's the same old Ito. Nothing's changed at all. He's gentle and tall and warm. But why didn't you go back to the scrapyard? He never tried to contact me. He's just been living out here in the country. It's no fair. Then you see this nurse girl. It looks very similar to Alita. Is watching her just sneaking up from behind the barrels watching them. And she glances at her. And you see on the outskirts of town, Lou's talking to Chaos and going, so, Chaos, I wanted to say that I was really struck by the final radio chaos. I've been losing sleep trying to come up with a way that I can help contribute to peaceful understanding. And Chaos is like, well, easier said than done. But I don't intend to be a man who's more talk than action. You figured out where my father's lab is, I suppose? Then I guess this is goodbye, Lou. Lou's like, huh? Where are you going, Chaos? And Chaos goes, I'm afraid I need to settle things with my father alone. If fate wills it, I suppose we'll meet again. And Lou goes, no, it's too dangerous, family or not. Wait for Alita to come back so you can go together. And he goes, Lou, my psychometry is an empty vessel. Anything can fit inside of it, but on its own, it is empty, hollow. Perhaps my love for Alita is just another bored emotion that I picked up through my power. And Lou's like, no, Chaos. And he goes, but the pain in my chest is still real. Just tell Alita that this is a goodbye for now, until I build my own identity. And he takes off in the dune buggy. And you see Alita still just trailing Ito, just hiding behind buildings and peeking out to try to spy on him. And she's like, I missed my chance to say hi. And you see someone just tapping on the shoulder going, hello? What you doing here? And you see Ito's new assistant just come up behind Alita. Alita's like, that's Ito's new assistant. Perfect timing. And she's like, well. And the assistant goes, oh, so you're an old friend of Dr. Ito's. Name's Kana. Nice to meet you. You came all the way from the scrapyard, Alita? And she's like, yeah. So he just takes her towards this little alleyway. Alita's like, huh? This was the right direction, was it? And then Kana just whistles out. And you have these cyborg gangsters just coming out to surround her. And Kana goes, I'd appreciate it if you just packed up and left town without another word. We ain't letting anyone from Dr. Ito's past come to see him. And you see a crack and a whack as someone goes flying through this shed and just lands in the water. And you see the hammerhead gangster's just been knocked out and he's crying, help, I can't swim! You have some onlookers going, what's going on? They're a tussle? And like, what the? And you see a damn swamp as two more of them come flying out the same hole and land in the water. And you see Alita's just taking out all the gangsters with complete ease. As she goes, they're all total amateurs and they don't seem like Barjack either. And they're like, ow, she's tough. And one of them's like, this ain't like you said it would be, Kana. And one of them's like, damn you, and he pulls out a gun. And Kana kicks it back and goes, no guns, you fool. All right, Alita, you're not too bad. Guess I gotta handle you myself. And you see, don't try to stop me. Alita tries to do a flying sidekick to hit Kana. And Kana just does a kick like this to block Alita's leg. And you see a hop as they leap at each other. So Kana plants both their feet, leaps out with the other one to kick Alita in the face. Alita kicks her in the face at the same time. And no, so sorry. So Kana missed Alita's face. Alita kicked her in the face, and Kana hit her right in the chest and sent her flying back. And you see a doof as one of them goes, whoa, it's an even fight. Alita's like, she's tough. I've got to go all out. And you have Kanan just dropping to her knees, be like, "Wow, that hurt. Why'd you have to do that?" And then Ito comes running up with a bucket and a stick. He just starts banging on it. Goes, "All right, enough. No more of this fighting." And Alita's like, and Kanan's like, "Ah, crap." And he comes up and picks up Alita's like, "Hey, are you all right? Honestly, how many times have I told you not to fight?" Alita's like, Ito?" And Ito's like, "What kind of nurse causes injuries, Kana?" And Alita's like, "Ito, it's me, Alita." And Ito looks at her and he's like, "Huh?" And Alita's heart's just bumping like bump, 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 bump. And Kana's like, "Oh no." So she comes back and she puts her arm, Kana grabs an arm around Alita and goes, "It's okay, Dr. Alita and me are just practicing some of our old capoeira moves together." And she's like, "Oh, and Ito's like, "Oh, so she's a friend of yours, Kana?" Alita's like, "What?" And Kana's like, "Listen, Alita, play along if you care about Dr. Ito." Alita's like, "Oh no, at long last, after 10 years, I finally find him again, and Ito has no memories of me." I don't think I actually mentioned this in any of my videos, but I kind of suspected that was the direction I was going to take with Ito having lost his memories, but interested in seeing how that plays out. So again, little author note at the bottom is capoeira is a Brazilian style of fighting. It started among slaves whose hands were shackled, and thus has a unique method of utilizing the feet and legs. The name is said to come from the Latin term for hopping. You see later that night at the medical house there, Alita sitting down with Kana and Ito for dinner. And she goes, "And there's plenty more where that came from, Alita." And Ito was like, "Oh, I wish I could see Zaylan from the scrapyard at least once." Alita's like, "Oh, these pickles are good." And you see Kana filling in Alita on what happened. And she goes, "I met Dr. Ito working in Professor Nova's lab. They said that if his old friends come around, I was supposed to show him this. I decided to try to drive you off instead. That was my mistake. This is Dr. Ito's own testament from 5 years back." So she pulls out this little disc that she's hiding in a cooler. So Alita puts into a TV to watch. And she goes, "In that video, I saw a very familiar Ito. It was painful to watch." So you see, Ito's just recorded a video and his head has just been all bandaged up. He goes, "I'm on the borderline right now. Somewhere between sanity and madness, and I don't have much time. I was killed and then recreated with Nova's perfect tech. If anything, I feel even younger than before. He wanted to make me his assistant, but I fought against his hellish human experiments to try to shut them down. And then Nova said, if you learn the Zalamite secret, you'll change your mind." The Zalamite secret? Just covers his face. He's like, "And now that I know the secret, I understand the motive behind Nova's experiments all too well. But I fear that my mind not be able to withstand the weight of the truth. I don't think I can ever be the old me again." And Ito's just got tears streaming down his face as he goes, "Goodbye, goodbye, Scrapyard. Goodbye, my loved ones. I've decided to erase my memories for good. Goodbye. I'm sorry, Alita. Please, for my sake, find happiness. Goodbye." And you see later that night, after the dinner, Ito's like, "Leaving already? You could stay the night." Alita's like, "No, people are waiting for me. So long." And then as Ito's watching her walk away, he goes, "I'm not actually sure that she has a place to go." Kanan's like, "Huh?" Ito goes, "She looked so very sad." And as Alita's walking away, she starts crying. She goes, "There were so many things I wanted to tell Ito when I found him again. The painful things, the happy things, so many experiences. I wanted him to see how I'd grown and to be proud of me. Ito." And then we go on to chapter 44, Inheriting the Beast. So you see Alita just going full speed off in the desert on her bike. And Lou goes, "You'll be at your destination in 30 minutes, Alita." And Alita's like, "Huh? Did you just say something?" Lou's like, "Are you alright, Alita? You're acting strange." She's like, "Sorry, just lost in thought." Lou goes, "It doesn't seem like we're going to catch Chaos, does it? But they are family, so I don't expect anything bad to happen." And so it goes, "We've been racing after Chaos for 7 hours now trying to catch him. Our destination, Nova's lab, was revealed to be beneath Norod Mountain, about 700 kilometers northwest of Farm 2. It's a repurposed military facility from the old century, now known as the Granite Inn. And Lou's just pumping herself up. She's like, it's time for the big showdown against the wicked Professor Nova at last. Talk about nerves. And he's like, sorry, you say something? Lou's like, stop doing that to me. And the next panel is Alita's racing forward. Someone steps over from her with a whoosh and swings a blade towards her face. Alita brings her own blade out to counter it. This person goes flying off. She goes, what was that? And so the person lands, with the whoosh on the road behind her. Alita's like, wait, I could have sworn that shrimp just performed Panzerkunst acrobatics. What the hell? What the absolute hell? So you see a clone of Alita with a number 2 on her head. Alita just brings up her gun instantly with shock and starts trying to open fire. And as she tries to pull the trigger, she notices it's locked. She's like, the system lock is on? And so Alita, I'm going to call her Alita Squared from now on just to keep everything straight. So they go, don't bother. Tuned gear can't be used to attack another tune. Alita's like, what did you say? And she's like, who the hell is this? Explain, Lou. And I was like, wait, there are 2 Alitas in that ID code. And you see Eisenberg coming up behind her going, don't you get it yet? Lou's like, huh? He's like, director. And he goes, then I suppose I shall explain. This is the tuned AR Series 2, our mass production unit. She is your upgraded model A1. And so the Alita just takes off her cloak, and you can see that she's a clone, right down to design and everything else. And so Eisenberg continues, the tuned body has the same capabilities as A1. Her molecular computer brain has a digitized record of 10 years of Alita's fighting data. And unlike the original, she is absolutely loyal. I present to you the ideal combat android. And Alita just gets furious and she's like, screw you! You can't just make a cheap imitation of me without my say-so. And Eisenberg goes, I don't think you understand. This was the planned form of tuned all along. Do you remember when I rescued you from the factory's disposer? I wanted software, the battle software the living body would possess. You gave me the sample for that data, nothing more. And what a handful of a sample you have been. I had to bring in Dr. Russell and Miss Collins specifically for their personalities in the hopes that they would tame you. Unfortunately, Russell had to be let go as he was against the project. And you see Lou reacting in shock as you see all the others just going, knowingly behind her back. And you can see Alita's just becoming furious as she goes, so I've just been dancing in the palm of Zalem's hand all along? All of that fighting, the death-defying missions? And Eisenberg goes, and now you will help us perform the final test on the AR replicas, an examination of their fighting abilities. So Alita just whips off her cloak as she gets furiously ready to battle. And she goes, this is unforgivable. I must protect my name and honor. This stupid puppet will not replace me. And Lou's like, you can do it, Alita. She's like, I've never seen her so angry before. And you see one of the other computer programmers going, begin AR2. And the Alita Squared goes, may I ask one thing first, Control? They're like, what is it? And Alita Squared goes, A1 claims that I'm just an imitation. But if I fight her and win, can I be the real one and make her the imitation? And you see a boom as Alita just launches forward with the fist and he goes, silence! And her arm just blazes past Alita Squared and shatters a rock. And Alita Squared retaliates with a kick, and Alita dodges out of the way as that shatters a rock. And so they exchange some blows and land off to the side, and both of them launch off the rocks and start doing some mid-air acrobatics as they both start kicking at each other. And Alita's like, this is tough. I feel like I'm living out a nightmare. My consequence was designed for fighting foes that are bigger than me, not the exact same size. And Lou comments, incredible. Power, speed, technique, they're evenly matched in every way, but neither will win at this point. And Eisenberg goes, so far this is meeting expectations. The true fight begins soon. And so you see her pop, as they're just exchanging punches back and forth. And they seem to be evenly matched so far. And Lee's like, damn it, stop copying me. I'll show you. And you see a foot as Alita dodges down below. And she flips down and brings up an elbow to smash into Alita Squared's face. And she lands a direct blow. She sends a clean hit. Alita's like, got her. And Alita's like, see that? Gemein's Einschaltrhythmen. And Alita's like, that felt solid. That was a contusion or a concussion at the very least. She's like, ack. And you see Herf as her blow landed with enough force to kind of peel off the outer flesh mask. And you see under Alita Squared's face, it's got like a Terminator look with the robotic body underneath. Alita's like, what the? And so they both exchange palm blows against the head. And then Alita Squared's like, ha! And you see Alita's like, ugh. And she drops to the ground. Who's like, Alita? And Eisenberg's like, ah, yes. The replica's brain is a solid-state computer, making it highly resistant to impact. So Alita slams her foot in the ground. She's like, I'm not done yet. And she tries to land a straight blow to Alita Squared. Alita Squared just leaps backwards, does a flip, and kicks Alita in the face. And she's like, was that Einsatzrhythmen? And Alita just gets sent flying back. She just gets skidding through the dirt and slams into a rock with a boom. Alita's like, no, this can't be. My consequence isn't enough to overcome this lifeless puppet. And you have Alita Square just having this feral grin on her face. It's like, ha ha! And she leaps towards Alita and does a double kick and smashes her through the rocks. And Lou goes, please, director, make her stop. She's going to destroy Alita. And you see Alita Square just raining down blows on Alita. Alita just cannot defend against, and she goes, I can't possibly accept that my 10 years in the wilderness were all for the sake of this combat machine. And she goes, don't look away. This is a mirror, and what it reflects is the truth. This doppelganger represents you. And Alita's just like, no! And as she fans backwards, you see that Alita Square just pinned her to the ground, is just wailing on her with both her fists. And Eisenberg's like, even better than I expected. No matter how theoretically complete the AR unit was, I predicted that it could not match the total value of the original's experience, creativity, and of subconscious talent. But I may have overestimated A1. She no longer has any value as a data sample. She may be disposed of. Lou's like, director wants to have Alita killed. It's like, Alita. So Bigot goes over to Alita Squared's operator and he goes, hey, if AR2 take over the Nova mission. And she's like, yes, sir. And Lou just pulls a gun out of her, pulls out a gun and holds it up to the second operator's head with a thud. He's like, what? And Lou's like, stop that AR unit right now. And Lou's like, stop the AR. And you hear, yeah! He's like, do it now! And you see that Bigot's just completely shocked and surprised that Lou would act out like this. And you see back on the fight screen, the Alita Squares punched Alita so hard her eye comes flying out of her socket. And Alita Square just grabs and puts into her mouth a poof. Alita's like, ha, ha, ha. And she tries to land a kick to the side. And Alita Square just blocks it with her elbow. And then she grabs Alita's arm and locks it. And then leaps backwards to break off. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out if this is the arm leg. Now she grabs Alita's leg and then locks and breaks it off at the knee and throws it behind her. And you see Lou back going, I'm deadly serious. And Alita Square's operator's like, director. And Bigot's just like, now calm down, Miss Collins. Do you have any idea what you're doing? You're doing this on behalf of some surface dweller you've never met in person. Why would a proud citizen of Salem commit such a violent outburst for her sake? And you see a shink and a ha 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 as Alita Squared pulls out or has grabbed Alita's Damascus blade and she's just flipping it around her. Alita's like, no, don't touch that! And she leaps forward to try and take it. And as she does, Alita Square just chops off her arm. And Alita thinks back to Ed, who tells her, don't you lose now. And she goes, I'm sorry, Ed. And she's flashing back to Jocelyn telling her, ha ha ha, we stand within the very world, Alita. And she flashes back to, the one that was training her with Yoko. What is the ultimate technique that we seek to gain through the heights of our discipline? And Alita's like, I'm sorry. And she hears Den going, fear of death makes you a failure of a warrior. And she thinks of Koyomi saying, but I'm serious. And the figure saying, I especially hate women who take part in it. And you have flashing back to everyone else going, is this the same angel of death that struck such terror in me? Have you no shame? And as Alita collapses, she goes, I'm sorry, everyone. I'm just so tired. I got so far and tried so hard all on my own. I know you'll understand. But I'm sick of fighting. You have Alita Squared coming in, and she just kicks Alita back up to a standing position. And you have Luke crying out, Alita! As you see figure 2, or Alita Squared is bringing in the blade to chop off her head. Alita's just completely complacent, just waiting for it. And she goes, at last I can rest. On the other end of this blade, I can see you go again. And you have Luke screaming, no, Alita, don't die on me! And so Lou fires at the control screen for Alita Squared and blows it up. And you see a boost as you see number 2 just go into shock as the computer exploded. And she just freezes right before she strikes the blow. Alita opens her eyes, she's like, and then she gets furious. And she goes and smashes number 2 up into the air with her fist. Grabs the blade as it comes back down with her teeth. And oh boy, and she just leaps forward and just slices number 2's head off with the sword and sends it flying. And you see Alita just having this furious look on her face as she's got tears streaming down. And then she finally passes out and lands face down. You see back in the control office, Elu's just kind of in shock at what she's done. And she kind of just drops the gun and sends it off. And she goes, Alita's alive, but what have I done? And so Eisenberg comes up and puts a hand on her shoulder. And she's like, And he goes, you are sick, Mrs. Collins. I hereby relieve you of duty. You'll need to be tended to at the Medical Observation Center. And she's like, Director. And you see this robot coming up behind her, ready to grab her with this little injection thing in its hand. Just a quick look at what that looks like. And he goes, not everything went exactly as planned, but the AR replica test was a success. AR2 is gone, but we have valuable test data from the incident. Activate units AR1 through ARTEL for use against Barjack. The next chapter, soonish hour. We have, meanwhile, at Norad Mountain. You see that Chaos has finally found his way to his father's fortress. Oh, excuse me. So we have Chaos just kind of stumbling out of the dune buggy as he's finally stopped at Noron Mountain. He's kind of using the katana's little crutch as he's going wobbling forward. And he goes, when I think about what's to come, my legs turn to jelly and won't hold me up anymore. Hang in there, get a grip, Chaos. And he thinks, please, give me courage, Yasmin. And he goes, Alita, no one else is capable of the fierce, unpredictable life you've led. But I know that I can be stronger and be worthy of you. So he comes up to the site of the Granite Inn. And he goes, Father, it's me. I know you can see me. Open the gate. And you see that Desti's painted like almost a clownish face with like these little teeth on the doorway. You have these two little robot eyes on the side. And as Chaos makes his way inside, like, what is this? What's going on here? And the inside of this place looks like a giant amusement park. So you have a carousel and merry-go-round. You have what I assume are some kind of swan boats. You have what looks like a pirate ship roller coaster. You have the not the carousel. What is the Ferris wheel? And you have a tower with some giant Cupid babies floating on it. Like, it just looks like a weird, surreal dream. That's the end of the chapter. And I think I'll cut it off there for this read through because I think there's still 2 or more to go through, and I'll save that for next time. So with that said, I hope you all enjoyed the return of my Battle Angel Alita read through videos. Like I said, I'll try my best to catch up on the backlog of stuff regarding this in the next couple of weeks or so. I know I have to still put out kind of reviews and thoughts on the other 2 volumes of Red, so that should also be coming up in the next little while. Apart from that, I enjoyed most of the stuff in the past few chapters we just covered. I liked mostly the revelation of, what Zalen's been doing up to with the Alita clones, and the reveal that Den was actually Chaos. I think the things I'm still iffy on are the moments where you have Alita acting like a blushing bride or schoolgirl, and I can't really pin down why it feels so weird, because again, it just feels like a weird tonal shift. Not all the times, but some of the times she does, it feels like a weird tonal shift for her to act like that with regards to certain characters, especially Chaos. Like the whole, because it's been about like over a month since I've last read it, so maybe I'm forgetting some kind of interaction they had where she showed more romantic interest in Chaos, but that whole bit where she was doing that kind of felt weird to me. Like it felt a little bit too forced, but it's not really a big complaint. It's just something I don't think I've been a fan of, like reading the series, apart from the stuff with Figure and everything else. Just with Chaos, I don't think I've been a big fan. And also having the kind of same effect with Ito, where it seems more like it should read more like her being embarrassed to see her father figure after a while, rather than, someone she has a crush on, which is what kind of the vibe I got. So I don't know, it just felt weird to me, but maybe when I revisit the volumes to kind of refresh my memories and do the volume reviews, maybe it'll read a bit differently to me then. But if anyone has different ideas on that, or if you think the same way I do, please, leave a comment below. I'd definitely love to hear about it. But other than that, like I said, tomorrow expect a channel update video with just kind of general timelines and dates for what I'm expecting to hopefully do with the series going forward. And like I mentioned at the start of this video, if you do have thoughts on whether you want me to read Mars Chronicle first or Last Order first, let me know. I can kind of take that into consideration when I'm doing my planning regarding that. But yeah, other than that, it's good to be back. I hope you all enjoyed. And this is Ash. Until next time, I'll talk to y'all later.